This day here in the state of Iowa, Professor Jeff Stein is joining us from inside his radio studio in Waterloo right now. How are you doing this morning, Jeffrey?
I am doing very well. I am staying cool, and that's going to be the watchword for everybody, isn't it, this weekend?
No question about it. Now, this morning, we're going to talk about something that happened for the very first time on this day here in the state of Iowa, but somebody that did such a good job, they were called upon again to do it again. We're talking about a lady that had a very unique honor, aren't we?
Absolutely true, Lou. Most college commencement ceremonies feature speakers whose words are pretty quickly forgotten by the graduates. In fact, many of the graduates probably can't even remember who the person was who spoke at their graduation after a few years.
Jeff, can you remember yours?
Well, I was at the University of Iowa, and we did not have one. That's the only reason I remember it, that there wasn't one.
Okay.
Because I do remember attending one at Buena Vista when Robert James Waller spoke right after Bridges of Madison County. Cannot tell you for the life of me what he said. So this makes the point. I was there in the room. That's about as good as it got. But chances are the folks at Iowa State University who were walking across the commencement stage on this date, June 15th of 1921, Lou would remember, because one of that school's most famous graduates delivered the commencement remarks. Carrie Lane was born in 1859 in Wisconsin, but she grew up on a farm near Charles City from the time she was 7. She graduated from what was then Iowa Agricultural College in 1880 with a degree in general science. She was then the only woman in her graduating class. She later became a teacher and principal in Mason City, and at the age of 24, Carrie Lane became the school superintendent, one of the first women to ever hold such a position. After her first husband, whose last name was Chapman, died of typhoid fever, Carrie devoted herself to the women's suffrage cause. That's to give women the right to vote. In 1890, she married again, this time engineer George Catt. She first met him while they were both in college at Iowa Agricultural College in Ames. George supported his wife's suffrage work, thought it was a great idea, and he even said his role in the marriage was to earn their living, and hers was to change society. She came up with the idea for what became the National League of Women Voters and was honorary president of the group for more than a quarter century until she died in 1947. She was the first woman to ever deliver a commencement address at Iowa State. And in fact, as you suggested, she did so not only in 1921, but they had her back in 1930 as well. We call that return business, or a repeat engagement, I guess, if you do what we do.
Yeah, an encore, yeah.
An encore, that's it, yes. She was so good, they brought her back a second time. Now, in that first graduation speech, she closed by saying the following, her words now: "To the wrongs that need resistance, to the right that needs assistance, and to the future in the distance, give yourselves." Now, I haven't mentioned her by the name that you may know her by because of the fact that, well, she was born Carrie Lane, but you know her as Carrie Chapman Catt, the noted suffragist. Those were her words when she delivered the commencement address at her alma mater, which we now call Iowa State University. And it happened on this date in 1921. And now, of course, there's a Carrie Chapman Catt School, Institute, Hall, so many things, remembering this very unique, trailblazing woman.
What a great closing line, too, that's remembered all these years later. How about that?
Yeah, and again, it just goes to show, and it occurred to me, I think Carrie Chapman Catt is pretty well known by the people who walk the sidewalks at Iowa State, but you see all of these buildings at college campuses that are named for important people in the life of the college or university. I don't know that we explain to today's generation who these people are. Maybe that should be part of orientation, that you get to know who this individual is or why this name is on this building. That really gives you a sense of those who came before you.
Yeah, exactly. And for those people that are walking around those sidewalks, as Jeff just mentioned, you want to go back and just get a refresher on some of the things that you talked about this morning. What's the easiest way to do so?
Go to iowaalmanac.com. This story, all the ones we talk about are there. We're on the Twitter machine too, at Iowa Almanac, but online, iowaalmanac.com. And I haven't checked lately, where is Seipold Hall on the Cornell campus?
I'm sorry, you broke up there. One more time, please.
I wondered where Seipold Hall was on the Cornell College campus.
It's the outhouse behind Olin Hall is where you'd find it, way a distance from the rock that we talked about the other day. By the way, I was just thinking back of who spoke at the graduation over at Cornell back in the day. I think Baron Bremner spoke a little bit, the athletic director at the time, a very well-known figure in the world of athletics in the United States was the person there. But again, amazing. But again, Jeff, people remember that name, and now they know the story behind it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And Lou and I will do commencement addresses for your institution. We'll start working on that now if you want to make the booking.
Just get a hold of you at the iowaalmanac.com, right?
That's it. Just get a hold of me there, and I'll broker it all.
Thank you, sir. Stay cool this weekend.
Have a good weekend. Thanks.